Hello and welcome back to Stumped, our second episode. Just two brown guys talking everything about cricket, as stereotypical as it can get. I'm Naveen, and I'm glad to be joined by my friend and also account manager for Sanath Jayasuriya's OnlyFans account, Asin. How are you doing, Asin?
I'm doing well, not too good to be honest, considering that Sri Lanka lost the Tri-Series final yesterday. And yes, being son of Jai on the fans account manager, I think it's come to a point where he needs to stick to and stop the Sri Lankan cricket team. Because that's the situation that we've gotten into. I think we've regressed quite a lot. But yes, this is something that we will be talking to in more detail. I mean, Sri Lanka's performances, by the way, later on in the video. But yeah, first things first, man. What an Ashes test, the first one, and England just won their warm-up match against the Prime Minister's 11. So, Naveen, what's the mood like in Australia now, after the Ashes victory?
The first Ashes test. I mean, where can you even start? Right, absolutely insane. And I think, yeah, the mood in Australia has been pretty. I think happy. Obviously, I mean Travis Head being the new Trav ball has been trending quite a bit, if you will. But also, I think there's an element of snark there, right? Because I mean, and deservedly so. I mean, England came into this series with a little bit of media heat, with Stuart Broad saying this is the worst Australian cricket team in 10 years or over a decade. You had the whole Monty Panesar, Steve Smith thing, which was really hilarious. But I think, Australia being Australia have really, really shut up the critics on their side in some ways. But yeah, absolutely insane match. And we should definitely get into it. And, we do have a loaded show today. We've got a lot of cricket to talk about. The Ashes definitely we'll start with. We're going to talk a bit about India and South Africa, the Test series, and then the Tri-Series between Pakistan, Zimbabwe, and Sri Lanka. But yes, the Ashes, insane match, right? Enthralling match, 2-day match, 19 wickets on the first day, right? I think when I was watching it live, right, I think both you and I predicted that Australia would win the series. I think I said 3-1, you said 3-0. And when England were bowled out for 172, I think I remember messaging you saying, you know what, maybe it's not going to be three. I don't think England are going to be able to win a match in Australia. But then, what a wild first day, right?
I mean, yeah, it was ridiculous, I think, but this is the hype that we kind of expected. This is the type of performance that we expected. I mean, and we discussed this in the first video that we did as well, that when India were playing in the Optus Sports Stadium as well, the first couple of days were really, really difficult to bat on. But I think once you actually rode that initial period, once you kind of weathered that storm, then it became a lot easier to play. You kind of saw it in England's second innings as well, when Gus Atkinson and was Braden Cars were kind of going like hell for leather at one point, and you could kind of sense it, which is why when Australia came into bat, chasing down 200 odd, Travis Head just does what Travis Head does, which is absolute clutch performance, 100 of 69. David Boone regen, in my opinion, but just an incredible, incredible test match. You look at the aggression that was there. I'm really excited to see how the second test pans out. I think Mark Wood might be missing the second test. I think he may have picked an injury. But in this instance, I would love to see Josh Tongue under the lights, pink ball, Gabba wicket. I think he would be lethal and somebody to look out for. Didn't get any wickets in the warm-up match against Prime Minister's 11, but look, you can't rule him out. I think these are different conditions, different venue, and I think he's somebody that would be an ideal replacement to Mark Wood.
But let's take it right back to the first day itself, right? Stark takes a seven for without Como, without Hazelwood, and an oddly out of form Boland, right, who kind of seemed a little bit all over the place. I mean, I think he went for almost 6 runs and over in that innings, which is, we're talking about Scott Boland here, right? Like the world's best substitute bowler, if you will, right? And yeah, I mean, incredible display by Stark. Zach Crawley going for a duck first over Stark stuff. It's stuff we've almost become used to by now. But yeah, 170 odd all out. People were thinking, there were some good signs from England there. We know that it is tough to bat at the Optus Stadium on the first day, exactly what we were talking about before. I think, we saw some sort of gritty resistance from Pope. We had a nice aggressive counter attack from Brook. And, Brook, for me, previously when we talked about this was like my English player of the series. You know, I reckon, or I would like to see him play really well. So it was good to see a good sort of counterattack from him. But I mean, crap, Stark, what can you say, man? The guy's an absolute legend. Really, really, without the support of you know, Hazelwood and Cummins, like he really took to the game. And yeah, you know, after that innings, I think a lot of us were just like, oh, well, here we go again, right? There's no way England are going to have any chance in this game. But then out comes Jofra Archer and Mark Wood, and you tell me, like, it was something else, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, I think it was really refreshing to see from an England's point of view, to see those two. And I've mentioned this as well in the first video that we did, that these two have to play together, especially the first two venues that they were going to be playing at. It was imperative that they had to play, and they kind of complemented each other quite well. Okay, Mark Wood didn't really get any wickets, but Jofra Archer, you know, intimidating, fierce, raw pace, something that you would expect from him. So hopefully he'll be able to continue this, you know, in the second test. Also give credit to Stokesy as well. I kind of mentioned it as well before that, you know, maybe Stokesy could roll his arm over, ends up banging a fifer.
In
That's the
6
type of,
overs as well, mind you.
yeah,
In
exactly,
six
which is
overs.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely ridiculous because Stokesy himself hasn't really bowled that much before. Even in like the previous test series, even against India as well. Okay, rolled his arm every now and then, but didn't really bowl like what you would expect from a fast bowling all rounder, because I think over the past few years he's switched more to a batter than he is a bowler, but he came in clutch. And it was just incredible to see him get wickets. Bradley Class as well, bowled an absolute beauty to dismiss Stephen Smith. But yeah, I think England will be hurting that Mark Wood won't be playing in the second test.
I personally didn't expect Archer and Wood to bowl because I didn't know if they were going to risk the injury sort of scare, right? But it was so good to see them bowl. But exactly, with Bryden Cast there, Gus Atkinson, they really had sort of like a pack mentality, right? And they bowled really well together. And they kind of took Australia by surprise. You know, I think people didn't expect that. In many ways. But, you know, by the end of the day, even though they'd been bowled out for 172, Australia were 9 for 120 odd. And so England were going into the second day very much the favourites, right? Despite having a bit of a batting collapse. And in many ways, it kind of mirrored what happened last year when India were here as well, right? So heading into the second day, England have 1 wicket to get. They pick it up pretty early, and they head into the second innings with a 41-run lead. And here is where Bazball could have potentially capitalized.
I think it was a bit naive. Their approach to the second innings as well. Some of the shot selection was very questionable. And I think, and for me, I'm not totally in favor of Bazball, but I understand it. I understand the intent. It's entertaining cricket. However, depending on the conditions that you're playing in, and knowing that this wicket would flatten out after 2 days, England should have been smarter with their approach. I think they should have been a bit more conservative, because you kind of look at when Gus Atkinson and Bradley Cast came into bat, the wicket completely flattened out. Had England been smarter and actually played a bit more conservative style of cricket, they would have been able to pile on more runs. But look, yet again, I think this is a lesson to be learned for England. And it's kind of good that it happened in the first test itself. Like, what's most important now for England is to see how they approach the second test. Do they play a slightly more conservative form of cricket, given that you'll be having the same conditions as you did in Optus Sport? But yeah, I think it was just naive cricket all around from England, and you know, no surprises. Australia were able to chase that down with ease. You know, Travis Head, it was just amazing to see 100 of 69 deliveries. I mean, it's the most Travis Ball performance you could expect.
Absolutely. I think, yeah, and you're 100% right. You know, really all England had to do was just kind of bat it out for about 30, 35 overs, right? I mean, the blueprint was there exactly halfway through the second day. We saw it against India. Even the groundskeeper themselves said it was going to flatten out halfway through the second day. All they had to do was just kind of grit it out. Even if they lost maybe 2, 3 wickets, that's okay, right? Because they've got the firepower to capitalize on a flat wicket, right? That's what Bazball's all about. And yeah, I'm with you. I don't necessarily agree with Bazball, but I do understand why it's there. And it does make test cricket thrilling. And when England are, you know, on a flat wicket and the conditions go their way, it's arguably some of the best test cricket you're going to watch, right? And yeah, the pitch did end up flattening out. Exactly. When Atkinson and Cast were there, I mean, they scored, I think, 63 runs off around, 50 balls or something like that. So yeah, to see the obviously capitalizing and being aggressive is key to baseball, but you need to also be smart about your aggression, right? And especially in a situation like that, where the opportunity to capitalize in a really aggressive fashion in conditions that will suit your batting lineup, right? In those instances, it pays to be a little bit smart, right? So yeah, definitely I see your point, but it gave us the opportunity to see a remarkable chase. And Travis Head himself, apparently, according to the story, didn't even know that he was going to go out until only a few minutes before, when he literally put his hand up. Apparently, according to Smudge, Travis Head just saw the score and said, can't be too hard. Let's go out and get him. And Smith just said, sure, if you feel like you can, why not? Man, history made. Like you said, 69 ball century, Trav ball, trademark that, stamp that, have it on billboards, on your car bumpers, man. Trav ball. Yeah, incredible stuff, right?
I mean, he's, like I said before, he's the David Boone regen. Pretty much, I think Travis Head himself epitomizes what modern day Australian cricket is. Just a hard worker coming in clutch when it matters the most, being aggressive. Somebody that would take a bit of time to get in, to get into the innings. But just the way he was able to capitalize and score those runs was incredible. And I think now he's really starting to cement himself as a modern day great of Australian cricket, along with
Oh
Starkey,
yeah,
along with Hazelwood, along with Como. They don't have the same amount of aura as the Australian team of yesteryears, but still they always come in clutch. I think now what you're seeing is Australia may not be tipped to be the favorites for any tournament that they step into, but once they actually start playing and performing, I think forget all of that. They just come in clutch. And yeah, I mean, it's great to see Travis Head score some runs as well. But I mean, now that Travis Head was able to notch out the century as an opener, would you see Usman Khawaja being dropped? Now that sort of begs the question, doesn't it? Heads opened before for Australia and limited overs cricket, not so much
oh
with
yeah.
Test cricket. So I think given Khawaja's age, his injuries, his I would say lack of professionalism in a way, calling the Perth wicket a shit wicket as well during press conference as well. Like, I mean, it kind of begs the question now, doesn't it? I mean, is this the last of Usman Khawaja, Naveen? What do you think?
I mean, yeah, this is an important conversation. I mean, Travis's performance. I mean, his performance pretty much overshadowed even the fact that Mitchell Starc took 10 wickets in the game, and Boland came back with an excellent 4 wicket haul, right, and really choked the game and in many ways changed it for Australia. But yeah, Head's impact is ridiculous. He is, as you mentioned, a modern day Australian great. He is the clutch player. He is the big game player, and there's nothing bigger for Australians in Test cricket than the Ashes. And knowing that, the fact that Usman Khawaja, 38 years old, suffering from back spasms, went out and played an 18-hole golf game the day before the first Ashes Test. Yeah, like you said, it's not even a matter of like, well, is Khawaja in form? Can he play well? Is this going to be a swan song series? Who does that? Even if you were in the prime of your cricketing career at 25, 26 years old, who's going to play a full round of golf the day before arguably the most important test series of your career? So yeah, I don't know. Will he come back? I mean, back spasms at 38, that's hard to come back from. And this is a pretty tight schedule. It's not like he's going to have much time to rest. And if he doesn't play in this series, I think, most people kind of expected it to be his final series, right? So if he's out for the rest of the series, this could very well be goodbye to Khawaja, right?
I think that also begs the question as well, like, if this is Khawaja's last series, who's going to replace him? I mean, you have like quite a few options as well that could kind of take up that slot. Maybe Head could open, but thing is, who accompanies him? Who supports him? You have Constance as well, got a few runs in the warm-up match against England 11s. Maybe even Cameron Bancroft, Nathan Sweeney, for example.
I guess
But
Renshaw's in
yeah,
the
I mean,
mix as well. I mean, Renshaw,
Renshaw as well. But
yeah.
if you're gonna make Head bat as an opener, then maybe you could slot Renshaw as a middle order batter. maybe somebody that could come in at a number 4, I would say, because he's flexible enough to do that. Anyways, he's kind of did it in the ODI series as well.
I wouldn't
But
be surprised though. I mean, like, there's probably no need for Renshaw if they have had as an opener because they wouldn't put Renshaw in the middle order. They're just bringing Bo Webster.
and also Weatherall needs to be backed as well. I think the first innings I think was a bit of a comical way to get out. But
Yeah.
look, I think he's still, how old is he? What, 31 years old? Still got like a few solid years of cricket left in him, and he needs to be supported. But only time will tell. It'll be interesting to see how the second test goes. And also another thing, Naveen, as well. What happened to India, man, against South Africa? Jesus Christ, man! Like, I have never seen a more shocking performance in my life from an Indian team. Um, I think a lot of questions will be circulating around Gautam Gambhir's position in the team, and especially against South Africa as well, a team that hasn't won in India in over like 20 years, or 17 years. We're able to just simply outclass them as well, especially given that the position South Africa were in when they had Stenerud Muthuswamy and Marco Jansen batting. You thought it was game over for South Africa, but gee whiz, man, what a bottle job performance by India.
First and foremost, we need to give South Africa their flowers, man. They are a top tier team. They are deserved World Test champions, and they have come to India, and they haven't just beaten India, they have genuinely outplayed India, right? And once again, like Temba Bavuma, I think has to be one of the most inspiring captains out there. He has consolidated this team. He's brought them together. They play for him, right? And he's come in clutch for South Africa, right? In many ways. I mean, I think he's upped his game as a batter. He just seems to be an inspiring leader that they love playing for. I think, he's averaging as captain, right, as a batter, I think something like 53.3 compared to his career average of 38 odd, right? So he's really upped his game. And if I'm not mistaken, that's 12 games now, 11 wins, 1 draw. He's undefeated, right? And that one of those wins was the World Test Championship against a very strong Australian side. So I think they played incredibly well and they deserve their flowers. And for fuck's sakes, can they get more Test cricket in their schedule, please? Because they totally deserve it. But yeah, this is their first Test series win in India in 25 years, and it was a clean sweep. This is India's second clean sweep loss in a Test series in like the last year. 3-0 they lost in New Zealand last year.
At home as well.
At home, exactly. And that was a team that had Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma. So it's not even like you can kind of excuse what's happening to Indian Test cricket at home. The second match, South Africa won by 408 runs, which I think is the heaviest defeat India has ever faced. We can talk about the first test. A lot of conversation about the pitch. I think rightfully so. It was a tough pitch. It was a real Bunsen. It was a shit tip, for lack of a better word. Jasprit Bumrah, first ball, first day. First ball goes through, pretty solid carry to the keeper. Literally, the second ball just went underground, right? So it's an up and down pitch. Once again, India shooting themselves in the foot for God knows what reason. But South Africa showed resolve, even though India, right, when they came out to bat, they kind of shat themselves totally. But South Africa showed how to do it. Temba Bavuma himself played a gritty innings to really set that game up for South Africa. But yeah, it's just, once again, after that game as well, Gautam Gambhir coming out and saying, this is the pitch that we wanted. What the hell? Like, I don't know. What was your reaction to that? Because I just was like, why would you ask for a pitch like that? Firstly, India's batting has been struggling against spin at home for like the last 5-6 years, right? And without, someone like a Ravi Ashwin and stuff, I mean, why set yourself up for failure like that? It was terrible.
I mean, like, I just don't get it because I've backed Gautam Gambhir, before in the past, ever since he was appointed. And even before he was appointed, I remember we had a conversation and told you maybe the person that will save Indian cricket is Gautam Gambhir. However, I just don't think he should be head coach of India, at least for Test cricket. I think for white ball cricket, he's done really well with the team that he has had. He's won the Asia Cup, he's won the Champions Trophy. That's 2 crucial trophies that he has in the bag already within the space of a year. However, I feel like for Test cricket, I just don't see him being the man. I mean, look, you've already lost 2 series and you should have won against a fairly weak New Zealand side, by the way. And that begs the question as well, who would come and take over as the head of India's test team? Rahul Dravid, I think, is the only person that I can think of at the moment. Somebody that's had a successful career as a test player, somebody that knows about grit, determination, fighting hard. And it's a perfect coach, I think, for Indian cricket, at least, in the red ball format. But also even some of the selection as well. We were kind of talking about it earlier. Sai Sudarshan, like,
Well, I do not think he
why?
is ready for international test cricket. I do not
I
think he's
just
ready
don't
for
think so.
international cricket. Why
Same.
were there
Like, I
six
mean,
all-rounders on a shit tip? Like, what is this obsession with having left and right combinations when it's not working for you? What is Nitish Kumar Reddy's role on this team, right? Why does he come
yeah,
in and they bowl him 4 overs and then he comes in and scores less than 10 runs? Like, what is the selection? Is there any logical process to it? I don't know. I'm saying
no,
this as like an ICT fan because it genuinely hurts to watch this
yeah.
downfall of like the bastion of test cricket at home in India.
I mean, even then as well, like, I mean, Sarfaraz Khan is a test specialist, averages 50 odd in Ranji Trophy cricket. Why wasn't he
He
selected for
averages over
international?
60.
I like it really baffles me because I felt like, he was the type of player you would need for this match, for this series. You know, especially after the first test, backs against the wall. They need somebody that's a fighter, somebody that can stay there and impose themselves. First Khan is that player for India. He had an exceptional Ranji Trophy season. Somebody that's already averaging about 50 odd in Test cricket as well. I would suggest like a real linchpin of this Indian batting lineup, a real anchor for India's middle order, which has looked quite fragile recently. So I understand there was some controversies regarding him kind of leaking information from the dressing room to the media as well. But that also begs the question as well, like you kind of look at Sai Sudarshan, Nitish Kumar Reddy. Are they really ready for international cricket at the moment? And who would also be captain as well of India moving forward? What do you think India needs to do? And I understand they're going through a bit of a transition, but what would India need to do to kind of rectify the situation that they're in right now?
Well, I think, you mentioned captaincy, right? And Shubman Gill is the captain of the Test side. He's the captain of the ODI side. It feels like he's being shoehorned into becoming the captain of the T20 side as well, right? He's been elevated to a vice captain position there. And, he got injured. He faced 3 balls in the first test and was out with the neck strain. And there isn't really no real signs of when he's due to come back, right? So there's questions there about him being burnt out, right? He's been playing all 3 formats. He hasn't missed a game. But the other question as well is his captaincy itself at many times, I feel, is found lacking, right? He doesn't necessarily have the aggressive mindset. Also, you were talking a lot about, or a lot of people have been talking about the fact that the Indian team is going through a transition. So having such a young, in many ways, untested captain without the guidance of perhaps some elders on the team, elders with, or some of the older teammates who have captaincy experience, right, does make it pretty difficult for a guy like Shubman Gill, who himself and his performances have come under scrutiny, especially at home or in difficult situations, right? We all know he's fantastic on flat tracks, but when it comes to facing the pressure, but yeah, it is a bit tough. I mean, India's got so much talent at their disposal, right? And Gautam Gambhir, as controversial as he is, he doesn't really make it any easier for himself. He came out in the press conference after the series, obviously faced a lot of heat, a lot of questions from the media, and he claims that the whole team needs to take responsibility. He says over and over again that there are no excuses for their performance. Then he spends the next 10 minutes giving nothing but excuses about their performances, right? Like he talks about the fact that they're young, they're in transition, there's a lack of experience. South Africa's bowlers were more experienced, which isn't the case because Harmer himself has only played 14 tests. He's got 1,000 first-class wickets, in his pocket. So, but it's just, and then on top of that, he keeps saying about like, well, all of these people are criticizing me, but I was the one who won the Champions Trophy. I'm the one who won the Asia Cup. He said right? Everyone knows that those teams were basically built by Rahul Dravid and Rohit Sharma. So, yeah, it's tough, I mean, Harsha Bhogle recently, in his latest video, his review, if you will, of the Test series, suggested or has very heavily suggested that India should consider taking on a second coach for red ball cricket. Gautam Gambhir seems to be doing well enough on the white ball teams. The white ball teams seem to be, in many ways, almost like playing. They could play well even without a coach, I think, at the moment. But I think India should start seriously considering maybe a new selection committee and perhaps a second red ball coach. And, Lakshman, Dravid, they're proven, they've got experience. They're also Indian cricketing test greats. So it might be worth giving them a bit of a go. But there was a lot of other cricket being played as well. The madness of the Ashes and I guess the disappointment for Indian fans, at least, of the India-South Africa series. There was a pretty hotly contested tri-series between Sri Lanka, Pakistan, and Zimbabwe. It's good to see the tri-series coming back. But sorry, Asin, as a Sri Lankan fan, I'd like to get your thoughts on it.
Yeah, the tri-series, the Battle of the Brokies, the IMF tri-series, as you'd like to say. I'm so happy that Pakistan were able to win, finally able to secure that IMF deal that we've been waiting for so long. I felt like with the floodings that we had in Sri Lanka right now, we could have done with that money. But anyways, man.
Oh
Yeah, look,
my God.
Pakistan. Look, I feel like Pakistan was just incredible, man. I think, and I'm not like I'm pissed off in the fact that Sri Lanka lost and the way they lost, especially that final was an absolute joke. I think Pakistan were great throughout this tournament. They're a team that's going from strength to strength to strength, winning 3 or 4 consecutive T20I series in a row, aside from the Asia Cup, despite reaching the final. But look, I think now they've found that the 11 Babar Azam's back in form. Hopefully, Maulavi Mohammad Rezwan will also be in form as well. Especially leading up to the T20 World Cup, because I think even though these players were out of form for a considerable amount of time, given that Babar Azam is back in form, he would be crucial for Pakistan's campaign in the T20 World Cup and somebody that needs to be back. Also nice to see Saim Ayub score some runs and also take wickets as well. And I love how he's making this all-round position his. Now that Pakistan have 2 mystery spinners in Abrar Ahmed and Saim Ayub, I think they would cause a lot of problems, especially in the T20 World Cup. Now that they won't be playing any of their matches in India, they'll be playing on the absolute shit tips that we produce, the absolute paddy fields we produce in Sri Lanka, which is what we're renowned for. Um, but yeah, Fakhar Zaman as well would be crucial for Pakistan. But even look at the Pakistan Shaheen's team or the Pakistan A team that won the Emerging Asia Cup. Even they've got some really, really good players as well. Sadakat looks really good, top of the order. Also Saad Masood, the leg spinner. I think it's so nice to see a raw, aggressive, in-your-face player from Pakistan. I feel like that they were lacking that since since Shoaib Akhtar really. So it's nice to have that renewed aggression in Pakistan. And I actually think Pakistan would go a little bit further than people would expect. They have a good team. Even Zimbabwe as well. Zimbabwe, this is the second time Zimbabwe has bowled out Sri Lanka for under 100 runs in the space of 2 bloody months. But also, and this isn't fluke, like Zimbabwe actually do have a very good team right now. Brendan Taylor and Graham Creamer, stalwarts of Zimbabwean cricket, returning back to the national side after, I would say, about 6, 7 years now, and to kind of complete that Zimbabwe team. It's really refreshing to see. You see a lot of young players as well coming through Zimbabwe. Brian Bennett, Nick Welch, Jonathan Campbell, Alistair Frost, who's been doing quite well. Anton Naqvi, Belgian-born, grew up in Australia, was advised by Solomon Mire, ex-Zimbabwe cricketer who's living in Melbourne now, was told to go and play a season of domestic cricket in Zimbabwe, and what a find he's been for Zimbabwean cricket. But also, you look at youngsters like Newman Yamuri, left arm seamer, can bat a bit, looks incredible. Diane Myers, Blessing Muzrabani, Richard and Garaba. But I think Zimbabwe have the players, the young players, to take Zimbabwean cricket forwards. And considering that they're going to be the same group as Sri Lanka, it's going to be tough for us, man. It's going to be tough for us in the World Cup.
It's so good to see Zimbabwe actually putting together a solid team. And as you mentioned, it's going to be, they could definitely, cause some upsets in the T20 World Cup next year. And as you mentioned, they're going to be meeting Sri Lanka once again. I don't know Sri Lanka's track record against Zimbabwe. Talk to me about Sri Lanka, man. Like, talk to me, like, what's happening with Sri Lanka? What's going on? What's going on?
Mm-hmm. Jesus Christ, man, a plethora of reasons, man. I think after the terror attack in Islamabad, Tridhar Salanga wanted to pull out of the series. Well, he wanted the team to pull out of the series, and rightfully so, because Sri Lanka did face a terror attack back in 2009. So it just only made sense. But the board kind of took that as an opportunity to sack him as T20I captain and go back with Dustin Shanaka. I'm sorry, Dustin Shanaka's done absolutely sod all for the past 3 years. Ever since he won the Asia Cup, he hasn't performed with the bat, hasn't performed with the ball, does well in the field, but would you really want that as a captain? Somebody that doesn't know how to perform. Asalanka, on the other hand, did, but the management needs to be overhauled. I would give Sanatachai Surya up until the World Cup. If he doesn't qualify for the Super Eights, if he doesn't get out of a group consisting of Oman, Ireland, Zimbabwe, and Australia, and let's face it, the other three test playing nations in that group can cause an upset. I was watching Ireland the other day, yesterday, and the first T20 match as well. They were playing against Bangladesh, completely steamrolled Bangladesh in the first match. Put up a really brave fight in the second match, and they've got some quality players as well. And I think they would cause an upset against Sri Lanka. And I hate to admit it, but realistically, I don't see this Sri Lankan team progressing any further. Our middle order is like a bloody bagel. There's nothing in the middle. Absolutely nothing. You constantly keep chopping and changing with the openers. You bring in Mishara as an opener who's done quite well, 250, two consecutive 50, really good performance. But aside from that, where's your middle order? Kushal Janit Pereira has been useless, absolutely useless. Dustin Shanaka, useless. Bhanuka Rajapaksa, I backed him before. Now, useless. These guys are all 34, 35, 36. They need to be gone from the team. This is T20 cricket, by the way. You need your younger players to step in. Velalagi is a great fit for this. Milan Ratnayaka. Pavan Ratnayaka, I'm a bit apprehensive because he's not really a T20 player. Janith Leonagi, the same. I think he's an exceptional ODI cricketer, but not made for T20 cricket. Um, you also look at Chamila Wickramasinghe as well. Excellent all-rounder for Sri Lanka. These are some of the players that could actually address those issues. But the problem is our selectors. We keep selecting the same mediocre rubbish players, and there's no progress with Sri Lankan cricket. I feel like ever since before the Asia Cup, you could see some sort of progress with the Sri Lankan team. I feel like whatever work has been done has like completely regressed Sri Lankan cricket. And that's why I'm really apprehensive about this upcoming T20 World Cup, a home World Cup.
You've got Patham Nissanka, you've got Kusal Mendes, you've got Willalaga in the ranks, who I definitely rank. He's an excellent player. Where's Paratarana? I'm a bit confused. I'm seeing some of these big names that seem to be playing in tournaments around the world, but why aren't they being utilized on the Sri Lankan side? Like, what's happening? Madhushanka. Right? Where's Madhushanka?
Madhushanka. I don't get it. Like, why are we, okay, Chamira has done really well, but like, Madhushanka, Wickramasinghe, Velalage, Patirana, Milan Ratnayaka, Eshan Malinga, these are players that need to be back. These are going to be our core players, and these guys will take Sri Lanka cricket forward. You can't progress with Kushal Janit Pereira, Dasun Shanaka, Dhananjaya De Silva. Like, these guys are mediocre players at their best. But for some reason, Sri Lanka selected, and it always fucking baffles me why these guys constantly get selected. Like, why? Like, are these guys deliberately sabotaging Sri Lankan cricket right now? This is a very promising squad, but we keep selecting the same mediocre, bang average players, and things need to change. I think there needs to be a project implemented by Sri Lankan cricket as to what sort of format they're going to go. Are they going to go with a 6-5, 6 batters, 5 bowlers? Or are they going to go with 7 batters, 4 bowlers? Whatever we do, nothing works. And also the problem with Sri Lankan cricket is every decision we make is a reactive decision. It's a panic decision. Vijay VS Kant, the leg spin, another bowler that you should look out for as well. The first, I think, Jaffna-born cricketer to play for Sri Lanka. Excellent leg spinner, was playing for the Sri Lankan A team in the emerging Asia Cup, drafted into the national team because he did well in one match, played one match in the tri-series and then got dropped again. Like, I'm sorry, you can't just keep pulling players from different tournaments when they have a good match, drafting them into the national team. If they don't replicate that performance, they get dropped again.
Well, I think, Asin, maybe what we should do is get Gautam Gambhir, Sanath Jayasuriya, Ajit Agarkar, Upal Taranga, put them in a room, and then seal that room off so they can start with our teams. Right? Look, thank you for the conversation. So much incredible cricket and a lot more cricket to come. So there's going to be a lot more of this. We got way more discussions to have, and I love it when you get heated, Asin. I can see how passionate you are. So we're going to bring more of that passion. For you guys, please like, subscribe. You know, we want to keep doing this. Feel free to share it around, right? We love making predictions here. We love being told if we're going to be right or wrong. We like to see if it ages well or not. But look forward to doing more of this, Asin. Any final words?
Pleasure to do this with you again. Yeah, hopefully we'll be able to do it soon as well. And yeah, a lot of exciting cricket, so and a lot of content as well to cover. So thank you so much, David, for having me. I'll catch you in a bit, and yeah, take care, guys.
See you all. Bye.